this question's been asked quite a lot, and it's something that I've really contemplated for the longest time, at least recently anyway. More so the idea of retiring. I know I'm too young, like I'm 27, but I guess the ideal of retirement is sort of putting something on a shelf and kind of just looking back and never touching it again. Have I thought about doing that at any particular point? Yeah, I have. To be fair, I've actually really thought about retiring. Will I do it anytime soon? Probably not, but it's been a thought. Hey boys, it's Will of DAGames. Yes. That's basically it. The whole idea of retirement has really sort of gotten to me a lot, especially in the recent years. YouTube's not exactly the best when it comes to stability, especially when you're looking for stability and you don't get it. Like, cause I mean, it's January as of recording right now. It's the weakest month for the algorithm. So that can also be in terms of advertisement and also recommended. And also just the general sub box overall, and people are so busy during January that things kind of slow down for everybody. And it's this, I like to call January the survival of the fittest. It's that month because it's also tax month as well for a lot of people. It's a test of were they able to survive last year and be able to conquer the final score at the January when it happens. I can see a lot of people have not been able to stretch that far, and it is a bummer when it happens, and it's real life-changing stuff. But it's been very fortunate for us to be able to pass through January and make it through the rest of the time in the year. It's always really fun to do that, though most of the time we end up just scraping it. So it does worry us quite a lot when it comes to the tax year, and it also comes to how often can we put more money into a project, make it more passionate, make it more energetic, make it crazier. It's been really difficult to sort of weigh up sometimes. You get that thought ever so often, like, and it's not even about the financial stuff at this point. I want to go on record and just say how thankful I am for this entire career that I've had, for you guys who've stuck around for the longest time, some of you new faces as well who have joined the journey with us as of recent. I'm super proud to have reached 1,500,000 subscribers. So blessed to have been able to make all these albums, get to #1 on some of the records, being able to travel to different states, meet so many amazing people and shit people. But it progressed me into meeting better people. Even then, I don't hold malice to anybody in this life, really. If they've harmed my family in a way, then yes, of course. But, you know, when it comes to the online presence, it's been very careless. I've sort of like moved on from a lot of people. There's like a little stigma that stays, which is like that sign of mistrust, but overall, I don't really like to give malice. So everything I usually say in a very offensive manner comes as a pinch of salt mentality, which is very lost on people, especially today's social media. It's really tough to kind of emulate that. You can sometimes at any point land yourself in the deep end. But I feel like the difference between now and back then is it's a lot more passive, it's a lot more toxic, and it's a lot more, well, the punishment just speaks for itself. Sure, it's no witch hunt. Sure, it's no burning the witch at the stake, but I mean, it certainly feels like it in a metaphorical stance. That's not something I really wanted to get into. I never set out for this. I guess you know, the reason why I do it is because no matter what, it will happen and it will exist, so just keep riding through it. And to be fair, this is why YouTubers need vacations. And it's sad because YouTube does not like that sort of stuff. It does not like when a YouTuber takes a break. Oh, no, sometimes they do. Like, if they've uploaded sporadically and then they spend like 2 or 3 days away and they upload, then the algorithm sort of picks them up again. It's a weird process, but if you spend like a week to 2 weeks off, not only does YouTube not recommend you, but the attention span of the audience, and this is just generally every human being on the planet, cares less. So then it generally does become unstable, and then it's really about fighting to try and get it back. It's really about trying to put your foot in the map, identify yourself as a standout person, not somebody who just looks like everybody else, really looking like you. And not sounding like anybody else, not feeling like anybody else, being just you as a whole. I like to feel at a point I have something different about me compared to a lot of others. For instance, my singing voice is very identifiable, I guess. My mannerisms come off a little differently, my body function might be the same, I don't know. Might be able to relate, but either way, I still feel like it's something I've had to think about for the longest time, is how I come off. And if I'm going to take a break, how can I really fight back? So even on a vacation, I'm still kind of working because I think of the next thing that I'm going to do once I get back home. And it's also the reason why I take a holiday is because absence makes the heart grow fonder. If I really love something, I'd like to tell that to everybody else who's been worried about if their passion project really is their passion project. I'd recommend spending time away from it, see if you missed it. Because it feels weird at first, you know, you're kind of itching to get back to it. That's how you can tell you've got something. And that's how you can push forward with it. If you don't explore with it afterwards, you kind of know you were just fighting for it. For no legitimate reason other than just because everybody else was doing it. That's usually the case. Though some people like to fight through that to find the passion, that is possible. But in most cases, it's normally a red flag. You know, before I even did music, I did animation. You know, before music and before Let's Plays and before what you know of DAGames as a whole, I used to do animation. And I started back in 1999. That's a long time ago. That was my passion project. And I felt like when I was moving slowly towards music, that I sort of didn't have time to do animation afterwards. And when I went away, I always had ideas for scripts. I always had ideas for animations that I wanted to do. But then when I came back, I realized, oh, music's the breadwinner, here we go. And I hated that mentality because I was always known for animation back then, and it just felt like music was taking over it. It's why we became a diversity channel. I think I was too afraid of making a secondary channel because I, as a viewer, don't like to be given several links to several places. I just don't like doing that. I like to find the stuff in the one place. That might be different for a lot of others, but it's because of the stigma. It's why we've kept it as a multi-diverse channel. Does it work for the algorithm? Not always. In fact, some people dislike the idea of having a variety channel, but I think you can actually make it work. You know, just sort of being able to stamp your foot down and you are you. You know, it's DAGames. That's a person. And look, we sound completely unidentifiable to anybody else. We may have a genre style, but as a unique sound as a whole, it resonates. And they do it in an eloquent way. We stand out as a unison. And you also have to be pretty damn good in adamantly expressing your passion for other things, for a chance for most people to even go and explore that thing, so that when they find it, they actually, if they enjoy it, then they'll stay. And that's what made us be a very successful, diverse channel, is whatever other thing we tried to do, it always did really well. Always. Was it bendy views? Was it FNAF views? No, but I see trying to aim for that as a greedy thing. I don't know. I'm humble, very humbled to have even the 10,000 viewers that crop up. That's still pretty damn good for me. And that's all I could ever ask for. Because I honestly don't think fame and success makes the man. If anything, there's been some very, very successful people that just go on and be greedy, and people don't like that kind of mentality. I've noticed that rub off on social media as a lot, just upon observation. I want to be in the good books. I also want to just kind of like make work however I want to do it. I was always afraid of going somewhere else, so I always like to stay in one place, and for the most part it worked for us super well, and it continues to do so. Yeah, we have a few dips, but we're okay because that just gives us more reason to fight harder, and then we fight harder and it just works even better than before. It takes having talent. You gotta have a talent for this. You gotta have a heart, you gotta have a passion, and you know, you explore those through time, and it took me several years to get to where I am now. It can take loads of people that, you know, as long as you can harness it and you believe in it so much, you'll get there eventually, but you're gonna have to sound shit first before you get good. And that's okay. I sounded shit first, and subjectively I might even sound shit now. To some people that's never gonna change, but for as a majority focus, most people enjoy it. So for that part, it's another reason for me to feel like I've done something right. And that is the thing that keeps me on track. I don't want to retire too soon, but I have heavily considered it in times at my worst, especially when anxiety kicks in and especially when toxicity kicks in, and it just feels like it's the end of the world. I just want a peaceful life, so I guess at the end of the day I have thought about it, and I've almost handed in resignation notes. I've almost quit entirely throughout the entire course of this. I felt like earlier on it was a little more unjustified because I'd barely been in the game and I was already complaining. It was looking back, I'm like, Jesus, that was annoying. But nowadays, because I've gone through the troubles, I kind of feel like now is more of an appropriate time to be asking, do I still want to do this? And it's the question that a lot of people have when it comes to draft like this, and it comes to clout on the internet, it comes to drama. I don't want to quit. Simple as. I just want to keep making new things. I've got so many things I want to do. I want to make like games. I want to make games. I want to do novels. For instance, I want to make more music. I want to make more cartoons. I want to make a TV pilot to go towards a streaming service like Netflix or Hulu. I'm always making ideas, and I want to explore those to the bitter end. And why stop there, you know? What, just because a few pissy people can't get their vaginas in check, you know? Or their winkies. Or just a blank canvas for those who might. Why stop there just because a few shitheads don't like what you do? Just you know, just gotta think of the bigger spectrum. And that's what we mostly do. It's harder to do that when you're obviously in the shit. And obviously when, you know, toxicity happens and that sort of stuff collides, it's harder to do that. And I'm not gonna lie. A lot of the times I have been through that, which is where my weakest point comes in retiring. I know that at some point at the end of the day, DAGames will end. At one point, there will be a time where DAGames ends. We throw in the towel, we leave it up as a legacy. We enjoyed everything we did, we leave it off on a blast. I have a pretty solid outro that I had in mind for DAGames if we ever had that, and I keep revising it in my head so many times. But will I stop creating as a whole? Probably not. I'll probably go on to do more stuff with perhaps Iris. I'd probably do more with the comic series that I wanted to do. Not comic book, but the comics cartoon series that I did back in the day. Maybe more of the reality show. Making books. I've started writing novels and making video games. Eventually, I'm not going to have time for DAGames. So, and the same with DW Daily. We like to goof around in DW Daily. We like to just shoot the shit and have fun. But if at a time we can't do it, we're going to just stop it, you know? We're not in it for the success. We're not in it for the fame. It's a nice little thing to do for now. And if it goes off, then fair enough. At least we have some form of legacy. We've seen a lot of channels go like Cow Chop and Creature Hub. You know, these big channels that have sort of worked together for a long time, and then it kind of like subsided. Everybody went their own ways. It's natural. It happens. And DAGames might come to that as a whole. Will we repurpose it? Maybe. DAGames might go on to be DAGames Records or DAGames Games. Or more so just go back to Diamond Armada as a whole. But either way, the point is there will come a point. But do I picture it anytime soon? No. I actually want to stay. Because right now I'm having fun. I have not been this productive in a long time. 2020's been fucking nuts. Think about it. I mean, we got the Sonic song done. We got loads of DAGames animated in the works. I made Flash Drive, which was a compilation of 7 songs that I created in 5 days. And that's not including the time it took to do the lyric videos and putting it on digital stores, making the assets for the visuals, all that stuff, all the errors I had to go through. Spent a whole week doing that stuff. I've never felt more productive, and with more stuff coming in the future. By the way, there'll be a separate video about the future projects that we do, I feel. All of this stuff, why would I put that to waste? It's kind of a knee-jerk reaction, I feel, if I went to go and retire immediately. It'd be giving in to something in terms of how toxicity does it, because I kind of feel like some toxicity is there for the intent purpose of them trying to get a channel to stop doing what they do, and that's a gain for them on their end. Some people do it unintentionally as toxic, then they realize the favorite content creator is gone, and then they're like, oh shit, I did that. You know, you never know. You know, but you never know. It's weird. You never truly know what their intent is, so you sometimes have to assume the worst so that you can be prepared to do the best, I guess. If the worst is to be that they are thriving off of a channel being destroyed because of their toxic behavior, then I won't keel over to that nightmare. I will continue to make the stuff that I enjoy and just block them out of my life. Because what gain do they really have, really, other than like if I fed into their nightmares, and they'd have some form of gain of attention, you know? And this is why a lot of content creators stay at arm's length. It's for a very legitimate reason. I'm too late, as I already sort of delved into the community, and I've kind of, I wouldn't say suffering the consequences by a long shot, because I love talking to my community. on Discord, Instagram, and even some of the nicest people on the earth. It's fantastic. Though there's always a crux with that, and there's always that toxic side, which ends up making me not want to work in the first place. And it's a knee-jerk reaction. I'm rolling back with a point here. It's that knee-jerk reaction that makes me think, yep, throwing in the towel. But then I realize not only will I be retiring, but then that's a lot of people on DAGames I have to fire. And these are my best friends. I hate firing people. And I also hate doing this to some of the best friends in the world who have done nothing but try and pull me through the hardest of times. I couldn't have gotten through 2019 without them because they did such amazing stuff for the channel and they believed in us and we all stayed friends with each other. And even if it wasn't for the channel, they still laughed with us. We still had time to enjoy us and they'd never left my side. And it would be a disservice, if anything, I feel. I know I have a life and I'm able to do what I want and I can quit whenever I want, but I also don't feel like I could just let them just disappear off the face of the earth. I feel as though it would be very planned ahead, long time, and then we actually have an end and then that's it. Because then by then I'd like to think the members at the point of us retiring, because we might have new ones, might even have the same ones that we have, would have enough time to get into a new place. And we'd always branch out to people and just be like, we're looking for, you know, my friend wants some work and, you know, this guy wants some work too. That'll normally be a sign of us going, yeah, we're throwing in the towel at some point. But only when we're like just so done with it and just like, yeah, we've run our course. It's nice. We don't care. We'll just, you know, run off the face of the earth. It's okay. And I think you'll still see us online somewhere, but I don't think I'll be properly working. I'll just most likely be chilling back and seeing everybody else thrive and also just enjoy my life a bit more, just retired. You know, I always felt like I'd go to Greece if I retired, selling deck chairs on the beach. Such a simple life, just dealing with the beach, the benches, the money, the community as a whole. It's not the best financially, but I also feel like they have less consumption over technology, which has built them with that innocence where if they had a power outage, sure, there'd be little generators that could help them. But they normally lay out candles and bring out a guitar and everybody starts singing with each other. It was a joyous moment when I actually saw that happen. So, I mean, you wouldn't get that in the middle of Birmingham, you know? You wouldn't get that. You'd get people panicking and asking you for the Wi-Fi password. You couldn't give them the passwords because, well, there's no internet in the first place. So they're going off themselves. That's an exaggeration, but we get enough mad panic, so I guess Greece would be the place I'd go to. That or Northern Ireland. I'd go back to a really peaceful part of the land, I guess. So don't worry, I have no plans of retiring anytime soon. I've had plans of how to retire, when to retire, I guess, and why to retire, but I don't have any right now. I'm focused on having a lot of fun, and I imagine doing this for such a long time. Probably once I've done everything in the media, I think would be the time I decide, yep, my life is done. I've done everything that I could have ever done, and it was great. I'll leave it off with a bang, retire, and just live off the pension, and just have a good life from there on out. But that's all way, way, way down the line. I kind of feel like I'm having fun right now doing this stuff. So I hope you guys get to stick along with the journey too, but these are just some thoughts that content creators have had, why they feel like they should retire, when it hits the most, and what they do to overcome that. And just remembering what's good about their channel and what they'd like to do with work. And I feel like that's why vacations are so, so essential. And I hope you guys have learned something from that. Anyway, I'm gonna get going. If you like what you saw here, click like and subscribe to your friends or family, maybe your dog. Check out DAGames Official on Twitter for the newest information on music, animations, let's plays, and live streams. I'm Will of DAGames. I'm not going anywhere. Just a thought about if I ever retired. I don't know how you guys would take it. If you took it, put it down in the comments below. I have no idea what people think of this stuff because I'm talking to a DSLR at the moment. But if you made it through to this video at the end of the day, that's awesome. But, of course, we'll see you in the next video. Peace out!